Hey, you beautiful listeners. Just wanted to give a shout out to our sponsor, Day 11 Podcast. Right now, everything's about Day 11, Better Call Saul. With 4 episodes left in the season, it seems like every single character is staging a comeback or about to take a big fall. The Hamlet and Macbeth portions of the story have all but run their course. Now it's King Lear and everything is building into winter. Also, fans of Unspoiled and Day 11 can look forward to Day 11, 13 Reasons Why, premiering Friday the 19th of October and posting 13 episodes, 1 per day, with the last episode posting Halloween the 31st of October. Covering everything 13 Reasons Why from Season 1 and Season 2 in 13 episodes. We watched the whole show, so you don't have to. Unless you want to, in which case these episodes could really help you out. November 2nd, Election Day, we pivot to House of Cards, the last 8 episodes of the show that made Netflix famous for streaming content instead of DVDs in the mail. Everyone's been going back to school. They probably can't handle all of this excitement with House of Cards and Unspoiled WestWorld and everything, but they're going to have to try. Winter is coming. You can find Day 11 Podcast by searching Day 11 on any podcast catcher or by heading to day11podcast.com. This is an Unspoiled Network podcast. This is Unspoiled covering WestWorld Season 2, Episode 4, The Riddle of the Sphinx. In this episode, Elsie! Elsie! Oh, hi, Elsie. Also, credit to Owen for calling it on William's daughter.
Ah, good for him.
Welcome to Unspoiled. Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm Natasha.
I'm RoShawn.
And yeah, this episode is a lot. So we took too long talking before we started. So we're going to be recording into probably the wee hours of tomorrow morning. But that's what you have to do when you're discussing WestWorld because it's bananas. So this episode was so creepy, guys. It was so creepy. Oh my god. There was a moment where I straight up had like my hands covering my eyes.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming it had something to do with Mr. Delos.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. His feet on the fucking pedals in the room drenched in red light with the fucking stones skipping in the background. Yeah.
Yeah, when his foot comes off the pedal and he starts to kind of lurch, but you don't see his whole body, but he kind of lurches off the bike. You're just like, oh, I don't want to see what's coming around that corner.
Dislike. And then there were a couple parts where Owen was just going, watching it. So, yeah. It was, it hit both of our, like, weak spots in terms of what our stomachs can handle when we watch it. So yeah, let's just talk about, like, the different parts of this in one shot, shall we? Like, can we talk about Delos and what's going on with him in one go?
Okay, sure.
So, this dude is in this, like, perfect little self-contained studio apartment.
Nicer than anyone I've ever had.
Yeah. And we get to see his whole routine, getting up and riding the stationary bike and showering and jerking off and having breakfast and the whole shebang.
Right. So when this first opens, right, and you see him in his little cute little loft apartment and he's, having a little trouble with the cream in his coffee, but he doesn't really let it faze him too much. What were you thinking in this first opening shot? Like, were you... Because we had seen him, at his house for the party in the last episode. So were you thinking we were just kind of picking up in his life there?
I thought maybe until I saw how self-contained the place was. Like, when we first hear the Stones playing and we first see him getting off the stationary bike and smoking and all of this, at that point I was thinking, okay, we're just jumping into... But then when I saw him, the screen light up and be like, you have a visitor, I was like, oh, okay, that's not this.
Okay.
Because it felt too isolated. Like, somebody would have come in and been like, Mr. Delos. It would have been, a human being arriving from the receptionist desk outside or God knows what.
Right. So once you realized that it wasn't what, you would have maybe thought it was, did you have ideas of what maybe it really was?
No. At that point, I thought, okay, he's really ill. And they're experimenting on him to see if they can do this at all. Gotcha. Which is kind of what it is, I guess. But
it's a little bit, yeah.
I didn't, think that they had already gotten so far with it. I thought that he was undergoing the very, first... Right. Because he has those things on his head at one point, the, sensors. Mm-hmm. So I thought that this was them collecting data initially.
Right. So it's still, in your mind, it's still the actual... James Delos at this moment. Right,
exactly. Yes, and also I think that there is a part of me that's like, I was thinking that if we were going to, be able to succeed in this and have somebody live forever, that we'd have them, pick what time of their life they wanted to look like. Mm-hmm. So would he continue trying to look like he looked right before he died? Or would he try and look younger?
I thought that too. That popped in. Not in this moment, but as I was watching the episode when it first aired and getting once you get the realization of what's really happening, I had a moment where I was like, well, this isn't the version of me I would pick.
Right. And I get for the show, they have to have him look the same because of the, there's got to be that reveal. And maybe they were operating under the intention that if they succeeded in doing this, they could just release him into the world and people wouldn't necessarily know right away. Mm-hmm. And they could see how it worked out without all eyes on him. And if it didn't work out, then they could quietly be like, oh, sorry, he wound up passing away after all. Mm-hmm. Instead of it being like, oh, yeah, look, it's him young again, and having it be this kind of media frenzy, all eyes on them, and then it fails, and it's way more embarrassing.
Right.
So, I'm not too mad about it, but I definitely did cross my mind that I was like, I'm not picking 33-year-old Natasha. I'm picking 20-year-old hot Natasha. Obviously. Thank you very much.
I had the same kind of thought. I want to also say I love this song for this moment.
Oh, yeah.
It just worked really, really well. With the refrain, you play with me, you play with fire. Mm-hmm. It's like, all right, show. Okay.
So then we have William come in and ask him these questions. And there's a little bit of contention here. And then William slides a paper across the counter, or across the coffee table. Mm-hmm. And Owen was like, do you think that's... And I was like, the script of the conversation they just had. And he was like, yeah. I was like, I think so.
Yeah.
And sure enough, because that is the only way to get somebody to believe this, right?
My favorite moment when he right before he slides the paper, he's explaining to him, about fidelity, and Jim says, oh, for afterwards.
Oh, right, because he knows about it, but he doesn't know that he's it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true, huh? Mm. That's messed up, man. So what winds up like, well, it turns out things go really well with this whole experiment off the bat, to the point that they're like, oh, well, we've got this practically figured out. There's just some kinks. But then 20 years pass and it's not fixed. Like, he's only been okay for 30 days before he starts to go off, which is not... That's nothing. Like, that's pointless.
Yeah, like, at the beginning, it's 7 days, and 20 years later, or however many years, they only get it to, like, 35.
Yeah.
So that's not great improvement for 20-something years.
It ain't. So, at that point, William, when he comes to visit him, first of all, I like the who the fuck are you? Because they have not apparently updated his memory with what William looks like now. But, yeah, William is essentially at this point where we thought we really had something here, and I don't think it's actually going to work out after all.
Right.
Which is a curious little wrench to throw in my theory about what they're doing with everybody's DNA. Because, you know, this was my assumption. This whole thing was, okay, we're trying to make people live forever. Really rich people, we're going to offer them essentially eternal life via transference into a computer module and a new body. Mm-hmm. And if they can't make this work, why is there a facility dedicated to this in the park that's, like, top secret still? Are they trying to figure out another is it maybe his specific DNA that this didn't work out for?
Well, okay, a couple things. I'm going to stop you. So, when you say, like, why is this facility, why do they still have this secret facility? Mm-hmm. It's hard to tell from, because William comes to see James Delos 3 times in this episode, right? Mm-hmm. And the first 2, like, there's like I guess the youngest version of William, then there's like a little bit older William, and then finally the Man in Black William. Mm-hmm. The Man in Black William puts the kibosh on the whole project. Right. But we don't really know just how much time has passed between that moment with the Man in Black and Delos, right, and the Man in Black in the park that we know. Right.
And that was part of my question when we finally get to the moment where they discover Delos abandoned in this place, was how long has it been? Mm-hmm. The body of the Asian dude who was outside, though, does not seem that decomposed. So it doesn't seem like it's been very long.
Exactly.
So is it just that, like, they've been working on this, and it's only recently that William's like, you know what, this is not going to work out after all, but he hasn't informed the rest of the company that he's kind of given up on the experiment?
Right. I think it's supposed to be... My reading of it was that it was pretty... really close. Like, there hasn't been much time between when he says, you know, trash the project, mm-hmm, and when Bernard and Elsie find him.
Okay. All right.
And what was I going to say? A couple of things. When but William has the conversation the second time, and it's almost identical, right?
Right.
To the first one, but there are some minor changes. And he asks about, I'm trying to think. They do the whole fidelity test. He gives them the paper. And then he, kind of tries to calm him down. Like, well, we're getting there, mm-hmm, you know, but we're not quite there yet.
Yeah.
And then he leaves the room and he seems, like, really dejected.
Yeah.
That, like, it just hasn't worked again. Mm-hmm. And he asks about his daughter, you know.
Right.
And his granddaughter. And then the third time is when William just tells him the truth about, like, everything.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, he tells him about his daughter, but he does tell him that his wife died.
The second time.
The second time, yeah. Which I wasn't sure how much they would do that, you know, like, was that going to be part of the experiment, seeing if he, like, had the same reactions to news, like throwing a wrench into the conversation. But to a degree, it really does just feel organic, like William just wants to talk to him about this stuff. Mm-hmm. But yeah, then William's, like, last meeting with him is, your daughter killed herself. Your wife is dead. You are a garbage person. And everybody likes the idea of you much better than the actual man. So I don't really know what we're doing here. And you're probably, the world's better off without you in it. And it's probably better off without me in it, too. Come to think of it. Right. And I'm going to bounce. And I'm not even going to burn you alive and do you a favor.
Yeah. That's the other thing, too, is it seems like William comes after it's already been determined that this version is starting to degrade. Mm-hmm. Which is interesting because you think he would want to come, you know, and see it when it's, like, working well.
Well, I think 20 years he's just gotten his hopes up so many times that he's, like, lost interest at this point, mm-hmm. you know? So, yeah, I mean, it's obvious that he thought he had really latched onto something that motivated his whole, like, takeover of the park in a way that he makes it seem like it's profit driven, but I feel like it was a real, to him, the idea of eternal life was like the thing, you know? He found a way that he thought he could monetize it, but he talks so much about, as William in the present, as the Man in Black, finding the meaning of everything as he's, you know, mm-hmm. like murdering people and doing whatever. And I think that was what he thought the meaning was that we've discovered how to be God and we can just never end and never leave this. And now that's not it at all. He's like having to reevaluate the whole point. And he's having to do that, it looks like, really close to all of the hosts retaliating. Mm-hmm. Which I guess is good timing, so you're not wondering for too long what the point is. You get told real quick, the point is stay alive because you're about to be shot to death by angry robots in a new game.
It's like, if we think about what little we know about the Man in Black, it would make sense that being so disillusioned with how things went with Delos and the whole idea of, like, everlasting life, that when we see him in the park, this whole not just looking for, like, a greater meaning, mm-hmm. but also just, like, being over the real world, air quotes, you know? Like, just fuck it, you know.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean, that out there doesn't mean anything because, you know, it ends.
Yeah.
So what's going on in the game is what's really, you know, what's real and true.
Man, nothing's real or true. Can we just, like, get over it? We all just kill ourselves trying to figure this shit out. Why?
We're here,
what?
And then we're not.
You know, it's just such a waste of our time. It's like somebody gives you a television and you can watch and experience all this amazing TV, but instead of doing that, you pull it apart and try and figure out where the power is coming from. Who cares? Watch the TV and have a good fucking time. Jesus Christ. But instead, you're going to grow old and withered, staring at wires, wondering why you don't feel fulfilled. Maybe if you had been able to watch Breaking Bad, you would have felt fulfilled. Just saying. I don't know. I've reached this point in my life where I've just grown so practical about whether or not anything brings you any sort of joy in the long term. Does it? No? Then that's your answer. I mean, does searching for the meaning bring you joy? If it really does, then fine. You know, like, who am I to say? But it doesn't seem like it does for a lot of people. It seems like it makes them crazy. You know?
Looking too deeply for meaning?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it doesn't go well for James Delos, because towards the end, he's, like, seriously crazy.
This guy is a disaster. Yeah, so once they find him, like, has he been cutting up his own face?
Yes.
And that's just, like, so the pain is the only thing I can feel that's real, kind of thing?
No, I don't think so.
Why is he cutting up his face?
I just think his whole thing is degraded and breaking down. You know what I mean? It's
like an impulse that's like a flaw in the system.
Yeah, it's like he's just corrupted, you know? It's he's not doing anything that makes sense. He's not searching for anything. I don't think he's just you know, he's trashed the whole room and trashing himself, and he's, you know what I mean? He's just broken. And he gives a really weird and unsettling little speech when Bernard. And now I'm thinking that maybe talking about just it in chunks is a bad idea, because I feel like I'm going to remember stuff and get the timeline all jacked up. But because there's a lot of like Bernard coming in and out of various memories in this episode, and I want to keep those on track.
He doesn't have any memories of Delos.
No.
Oh, okay.
But so by the time Bernard and Elsie find him, which is a memory also, because remember, Bernard is like, I'm not here with you right now. But when they find him, he's just, like I said, just fucking broken.
Yeah.
And he talks about, what does he say? They said there were two fathers, one above and one below.
Yeah. I'm trying to find the spot. Maybe you're right. Maybe we shouldn't talk about it.
I think we should probably try to go in order, because that's the other thing, too, is we're not going to be able to search for stuff.
Okay.
We should start over.
We can't start over. Everybody will be fine. I think that we needed to talk about Delos up front, though, because that's like the main big like reveal of totally new information this episode. So we'll get the majority of talking about that out of the way up top like we did. Then we'll go to Man in Black present day as he gets to a bunch of workers who are building a railroad.
Yeah, and it's going the wrong way.
What in the fuck is happening?
With the bodies under the tracks?
Yes.
I don't know. And you know what I'm curious about? And I don't know. Who are these people?
This is my question also. Like, first of all, the people, like, you know, there are some folks that are in outfits that make it look like they were humans at the party. But not all of them. Like, there's a couple women that are in, like, bonnets and period clothes. Maybe they are guests in the costumes that they're given when they arrive, you know? But it's really hard for me to tell. Like, that's what I would assume. But everything has gone so bananas, and people are not necessarily fighting against the humans. It's like, when they get to the village later, it's the...
Host on host violence.
Yeah, host on host. So yeah, this scene with the fucking railroad, and when you get to the like, that was so fucking grotesque. Yeah. That fucked me up. I'm not gonna lie. That really messed my head up.
It was kind of, I don't know if departure is fair, but it was a turn for the show. Yes. You know, we've seen a lot of brutality through the first season and the first couple episodes of this season. But something about this season, and I think it has to do with not knowing, like, we know now that humans are in play, right? Yeah. They're in jeopardy. And as fucked up as it is, somehow that makes everything seem so much worse. Because the whole first season, it was just hosts getting hurt, you know?
Yes. I mean, in some ways, honestly, though, that made it worse for me than this. Yeah. Like, I get what you're saying, but somehow the like humans being involved now gives it a sense of justice that it didn't have before that makes it satisfying in a way.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
I get that. I get that too. Kind of feel like they kind of have it coming.
Yeah, you know, I'm like, before it was so one-sided that watching it just felt like just in your gut kind of gross. Mm-hmm. And now it's like, yeah, it's gross, but haha, fuck you. You know, like...
Well, okay then.
This is why I'm not a hero.
That's why.
This is one of the many, many myriad of reasons why.
So then it cuts from the Man in Black and Lawrence to Clementine dragging Bernard like he's a paper doll.
A fucking boss. This bitch has just got no time for anybody. She has shit to do.
She's got like 3 other people she needs to drag today.
Honestly, like she just drops him off, leaves the gun, and is like, all right, next. Like she's a friggin' subway train heading off to go get the next batch. And him being like, Clementine, where are we? I'm like, dude, you think she's gonna talk to you? Just go figure it out. And yeah, he goes into this cave, and there is Elsie. And she is not happy to see him.
Her reaction to him when he first walks in is the best.
It's so good. It really is. Just like, are you fucking kidding me? And she tells him she tells him you choked me out and left me with some power bars and a bucket. To which I was like, oh yeah, yikes. Because I didn't really like... You know, for some reason, I thought when he finds her that she had been attended to by somebody. Mm-hmm. And there's a vibe like maybe that was true because of Clementine dropping him off here. Mm-hmm. How does she know where Elsie is if nobody's attending to her?
That's a very good question, right?
You know, so like this is what kind of confused me a little bit. Right. Not in a bad way.
And granted, it hasn't been that long since she's been dropped off here.
True.
So she probably could go a couple of days, you know, without anybody coming to check on her. But yeah, how does Clementine know where she is? What do you think about that?
I don't know. Like, it could be a couple of things. It could be that Ford implanted something in her before he died in order to make sure that she could carry some shit out. Which in some ways for me seems the most likely. It could be that Wyatt knows where she is and sent him to take care of her because he knows that because Wyatt knows that Bernard is like involved in this part of the story. I don't know what that accomplishes because I'm not really sure why she was kept alive in the first place yet.
Right.
There's just too much that I don't understand about the entire thing for me to really make a guess on that.
That's a really interesting point, too, because Bernard explains that she needed, Ford wanted her out of the way because she was going to figure out and possibly stop what he had planned.
Right.
But he had Bernard kill Teresa, no problem. And yet had restraint with Elsie for some reason.
Yeah, I do not know what to make of that. 'Cause part of me is like, he says he had me take you out because you knew too much. Mm-hmm. And, that's all well and good. I'm not entirely sure that I buy that that's the only reason. And if it is, like, Teresa knew too much, why couldn't he have just locked her ass up? Mm-hmm.
So there must be something else.
Yeah.
Right?
She's good with code. There's something there that he thought she would be useful. I don't know.
Now, let me ask you this, and then I'll tell you how I felt about it after you tell me how you felt about it. When he tells her, well, he can't really tell her because he's fucking, he's really in a bad way.
Right.
And he just basically says, he's having a cognitive lock and look at the tablet. And that's the moment where she finds out that Bernard is, a host.
Right.
What did you think of her reaction?
It seemed like, it seemed very Ravenclaw to me. Like there's a moment of just, are you shitting me? And then all of a sudden, oh, yep.
And then right back to business.
Yeah, and just like there's a cognitive dissonance for a moment as she's like, but you have a history, and then she's like, and that's exactly the whole point, isn't it? All right, this makes sense, moving right along. And that can be how I am with things at times, so I get that.
I admit I struggled with that a little bit. I really like your interpretation of that moment. I think it rings true. Mm-hmm. But I remember watching and being like, that's it?
Yeah.
That's your reaction to finding out this man you've worked with for however many years, Mm-hmm. But I think that your read on it is good because she is very Ravenclaw-y, isn't she?
Yes.
And it's like something in her brain just said, I don't have time for this shit right now. We're going to have to come back to this. Mm-hmm. But right now, we need to, get something done. We have work to do right this minute.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's really what it is that, when she figures it out, he's like having a seizure in front of her. She doesn't have time to sit here and be like, my God, the nature of reality. So, this guy is depending on her, and it's somebody that otherwise she liked. And this also gives her a nice out for, this dude betrayed me and left me here to rot for days alone, and this doesn't match up with the guy that I knew at all. Mm-hmm. Oh, here's a lovely, perfect explanation all lined up for me that I can just, latch onto, which I think a lot of us would love to have when somebody does something fucked up to us.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. So while she kind of puts him to sleep, mm-hmm. and we get a couple of flashes of something from his mind that's sort of disjointed, but they're Bernard memories. Mm-hmm. Bernarderies?
No, that sounds like arteries. I hate it.
It sounds like
Get
what?
the hell out of here. Arteries. Bernarderies.
But Bernarder.
No, you stop it. You just let it die.
Stop.
Let it die. It's nothing.
All right, I'm gonna work on that and I'll come back. So, did you have any thoughts about those little flashes? I mean, they're quick.
Well, when they first happen, I thought that it was something that happened after, because we see him and Charlotte in that secret workplace with the drones, but then we go right from that to them in the desert again. So I thought maybe something happened in between. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, but do we see Charlotte?
No, we don't. But we see we see eyeballs bouncing around, and we see blood in the white fluid that they use to make the hosts.
Right. Okay.
So I thought maybe something had gone down while he was in that center with her that we didn't see between them working together and him being like, what the fuck is this place? And them going back out and trying to find Abernathy. So I thought maybe there was a chance that this whole time she's been aware that he's a host. That there was a scene that we didn't see where she gets figures something out and we just weren't privy to that. But then it turns out to be a whole other thing. So I was just very, very wrong. But it was really some imagery, though. Mm-hmm. The blood in that fluid, the eyeballs bouncing all over the floor. That was a pretty good one. That's a real good Halloween spooky moment. Mm-hmm. And then there's those cortexes. Yeah,
the little things from the brain, kind of
like muffins, little.
I was
brain
going to say
cupcakes.
they look like cupcakes.
Yeah. So I definitely had a moment of why are the fucking drones making cupcakes? And then I was like, oh my God. I just felt very foolish. But yeah, so I was way off on that. I think the reason why is because I just have such a hard time believing that Charlotte would be acting the weird, smug way she is around him if she didn't know something was up.
Right.
You know, there's just something about the way that it makes me feel like she knows something, or at least that she thinks she knows something, which is the same thing in the end, you know?
Right, right. She definitely is. We've seen her, and she got kind of a, like you said, just like a smug sort of,
definitely,
you know, something. Okay. So then it's just Bernard kind of trying to convince Elsie, you know, to help me. I need the cortical fluid, and they're in the middle of nowhere. She's like, I can't do anything for you. And then we have this moment. I'm not going to call it what I want to call it.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All of us, thank you that you restrained yourself here.
Where Bernard sees himself walk into the cave.
Yeah, this is one of those things that people would like love to drive me nuts here and be like, well, how does he see himself from the outside, because it's him, it's his own memory. And that's what I had said about Dolores like last season. And I pretty much just let go of it as being like a stylistic choice, but it is the sort of thing that people are calling like a plot hole now, which it's just, you know, obviously it's meant for us to understand. But it's not.
I didn't know. I mean, I didn't know people were calling it that.
It's not. I'm not saying this specifically. I've heard people call a plot hole. Did you see there was a video that somebody posted in the group a little while back where they were talking about how it's like a trend now in critiquing things that everything is being called a plot hole.
I didn't.
Like, even just for people to act a little bit smug about, like, well, really, if you really look at that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But, and so that's what I mean by that. Not so much that it's like genuinely one, or that people are really saying that, but it's the kind of thing that I could see folks like really being unforgiving about, you know?
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so he's like watching himself walk in there, and it's kind of fun because like we get to see the memory, and then we get to see what it looks like he's doing from the outside, because poor Elsie doesn't know what the fuck, you know? So she's just watching him be a fucking weirdo.
Right.
And wander away and just, you know, have no like explanation or interaction with her of any kind. And I find that really funny.
Yeah. He's kind of zoned out.
Yeah,
this
you know.
This is what we look like when we zone out to other people.
That's unsettling.
But he is experiencing this memory, and this is how he knows that there is a lab here. He gets, you know, he knows he's been here before, but he doesn't know what the fuck for, though, which I think is very frustrating for Elsie and also probably for him.
Yeah, I think so, because, like, he's doing one of those things where he's just letting it happen, and is like, if it's going to make sense, it's going to make sense eventually, but I don't know yet. And, he, you know, he's seeing all of this processing happening before his eyes as he's trying to figure it out. She doesn't see any of that. So she just goes, what's going on? And he's just like, I don't know. Right. It's like, dude, tell her something. Tell her what you're seeing. Even if it doesn't make sense to her, at least like let her in on a little bit of what's going on.
Did we get to the part yet? I think we did. Where he tries to explain to her what his memories are like, and she says that she saw it when she was in there. Or is that after she gives him the fluid?
I think that's after.
Okay.
Yeah. Because, I think they're sitting down in there when she mentions that to him. And it's kind of fun because, like, he's just wandering around groping the rocks. Like, there just isn't a lot of rhyme or reason to what he's doing, again, to the outside eye. And then we see him just very purposefully go over to one particular wall and just open up this thing and pull a lever, And it's kind of fun because she's just like, what the fuck is that? I'm like, girl, what do you think it is? Keep up. Jesus Christ. And yeah, they go in there and it's fucking carnage, man.
Yeah.
It's nasty.
It is, it's bad. Like, it's something very bad happened here.
Yeah.
There are bodies all over the place and everything is beat to shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all the, like, the little fancy control units are all cracked, and there's dead guys and like really gruesome. Like the one guy is impaled on the fucking machine.
Oh my god, that shit is even for this show. That was a lot.
Yeah. And what did you think? Like when you first see this, like, did you have any thoughts about like what may have happened here?
Initially, I thought it was the drones went crazy, but the drones aren't, like, then we see them on the floor. So that only lasted for a second.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't remember what I thought, because...
Because it's a lot happening.
Yeah, there's so much going on. So I think there was, like, a moment of me thinking, again, that this was the exact workspace that he had been in with Charlotte, which it's not, right? It's not the same one. It's a different one.
It looks like a different one to me, only because the one that he was in with Charlotte wasn't like at the location where he is at the cave.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So that was like, for a moment, again, I was like, okay, did he do all of this in that interim where, where we didn't see what was going on? And I just, like, discounted that for a few reasons. Like, there's no way Charlotte doesn't hear this all happening. There's no way that he does this and then, like, walks out there and meets up with her and isn't, like, covered in blood and whatever. So... Pretty quickly, I was just like, all right, that's can't be what this is. But I couldn't figure it out.
The Charlotte was in, that didn't have text in it, right?
It did. I thought it did.
It had guys working in
I
there?
thought it did. And that is something that I would like to go back and double check, because I feel like I remember watching that scene while it was happening and being like, okay, I guess the texts are just going to continue on while there's a fucking, like, mutiny happening outside, and I guess we're going to be fine with that. And I was really surprised by it, but, now I'm like, I'm not entirely sure that that's what was happening. I don't remember clearly enough whether or not that's it. So, I want to go back and check on that.
Okay. Yeah, I can't remember. I'm wondering if there was a flash of a Bernard memory while he was in there with Charlotte of being in a room with Tex.
I don't think so, because what I remember thinking was that Charlotte walked past a tech in order to change. And I was surprised because she just gets naked. And I was like,
really?
I guess she just doesn't care. But then we have seen her get naked in front of people and really not care. So then I was like, well, you know what? That fits with her personality.
Oh, okay.
But again, like I said, I could be totally wrong about that. Like,
yeah, I mean, I'm like, really, honestly, I can't remember, which I'm sorry, guys. I just, yeah. Okay, so he's in there with Elsie. She's, trying to soak all this information in of this, like, secret room and these, these dead bodies everywhere.
Yes.
And Bernard has another flash of a bit of a memory.
Yeah, poor Bernard. This must be so traumatizing. Like, finding out that you did all of this shit. And we don't know why he does it either. Like, there's a, an assumption that I think most of us would make that this is all due to orders from Ford. But there's nothing to support that. That's just an assumption, because this feels like it's not part of his personality or what he is like.
Right.
And
it's not the Bernard we've grown to know and love.
Right. But, like, that Bernard is a construct. So
right.
Who the hell knows?
Right. That Bernard that we also loved also is the one that, gripped Elsie.
Indeed.
So, he's having this flash, and he gets sort of woken out of his little reverie because a drone shows up, and Elsie is like, what the fuck is this shit?
I could not stop laughing. She is not here for this shit.
Not even a little bit. He's like, don't threaten it, it'll be fine. And she's like, you know what else will be fine? If I shoot it in the fucking head.
Yep. Yeah, be like, don't threaten it to something that looks like that. I'm sorry, but there's nothing you could say to me that makes me think I'm threatening that thing.
Right.
No.
And I just want to go on record one more time to say just how fucking creepy and upsetting those things are. Like, they shouldn't be, but they really are.
They should be. What are you talking about? It's like exposed tendons and shit.
I feel, when I look at it, and like, you know, logically, I'm just like, oh, there's nothing, you know, terrible about it. But it's very terrible.
I don't even know how you can sit there and say there's nothing terrible about it.
Like, it's just a white suit robot, right?
No.
Like,
no, it's not. No, it is not just a white suit robot. You absolute maniac. That thing is like, it's like somebody ripped off a human being's skin, drained them of their blood, and then rolled them in talcum powder. That is not, this isn't just some white robe. Like, you're making it sound like it's just some tin can spray painted white. This thing has individual fucking muscles that you can see moving around under its skin. It has no face. Even tin can robots have, like, eyeballs that light up and stuff that make it feel like it's a part of a humanoid. It's got, like, emotions that you can sense. I can't even talk to you right now.
I'm sorry.
I'm just like, I'm glad you don't have kids,
so
because they'd be getting scared by very valid shit, and you'd be like, what's there to be scared of?
Oh my God, that's so true. I would be like, what? A man's got no face. Oh, settle down, it's fine.
Faces. I mean, what even are those anyway, if you think about it? And then
They're
you get all
overrated,
fucking
if you ask
philosophical
me.
on them. And they'd be like, yeah, here it is again. Thanks, Mom. Remind me not to bring up any other life issues with you in the future.
Oh, God. Okay.
All right, so...
So, then we go, we catch up with the girl, Emily, which we know that's who it is now, so I'm just going to use her name.
Right.
And she is a hostage of Ghost Nation. Mm-hmm. And they're Stubbs.
Yo. First of all, Stubbs is hot. I like him.
Oh, word?
Mm-hmm. I like him. There's something
I
about
remember
him.
that from
I think
last
it's just
season.
this air of competence that he has. You know what I mean?
How competent can he be? He's being held hostage.
How dare you? He went out there thinking that he was doing his job like he always does. If you went to work at the bank and the bank got held up, and I said you must be incompetent because you were held hostage during a bank heist.
I'm not.
Do you think that would be fair?
I'm not a super trained security expert guy, though. You know, this is his job. His job isn't just to work at the park. He's security.
Listen.
Now, if I was a security guard at the bank and the bank got robbed, then you know what? Maybe I'm not a great security guard.
This is not... Ford was fucking shit up from the inside, and this guy has no way of knowing about that.
That's true.
That is
You
very
can't.
unfair.
Nobody could secure
to
Ford.
old Stubbsy,
That, I'll give you
which
that.
is what his friends call him.
Old Stubbsy. So he tries to calm this little lady down because clearly she's hysterical.
Yeah.
Right? It'll be fine.
I feel like this is him, like, retroactively trying to do his job. He's just like, well, no need to worry, ma'am. I'm security. You are also tied up here with me. Nevertheless, everything's under control.
So she's like, basically, I'm not going to wait here for rescue. And she says, I don't want to get out.
Yeah. I really enjoyed that moment when he says, they'll get you out of here. And she says, but I'm not looking to get out of here. And he just turns and looks at her with this, like, no shit. Like, the way he looks at her is definitely like, what's up? Like,
what's going on?
I got the
with
feeling
you?
that he was, like, turned on by the fact that she's not trying to, like, escape. She's not worried. She's fine. And he's like, oh, I don't know. Right. I just like that moment. I like the expression on his face.
She also says, because he's impressed that she can speak Lakota, or understand it at least. Mm-hmm. And she says that people tend to ignore their narratives, and she doesn't like people.
Oh, right. I didn't understand that line.
Oh, I think she's trying to say she spends a lot of time with the Lakota because there's not a lot of people around them. The guests aren't interested in them, really. So she can go out and be by herself, and there won't be, a bunch of fucking tourists all around in a way.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
So, at this point in the episode, everybody except Owen doesn't know. That's the daughter. Though I feel like this show kind of telegraphed that it's supposed to be the daughter. Did you feel like that at all?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he put it in my head, but I flatter myself that I would have picked up on that because they do kind of have her looking like her mother did in the flashback. Okay. There was something about the way they had her hair styled that was meant to remind you of her. And also the fact that she's so averse to sleeping with a host. That felt really significant to me.
Right,
so,
right.
Yeah, I just kind of... I'm not sure how much the show really wanted it to be a total surprise or not.
Yeah.
Like, do you think that they meant for it to be a shock?
I don't think it was supposed to be a huge shock. Because there was talk in this episode about daughters. There's a lot, because we don't get to reveal until the last, frame, right?
Right.
This whole episode, there was talk of, between William and James Delos, Man in Black has a conversation with Lawrence where Lawrence brings up his daughter. And do you watch the last week on? You know how at the beginning of the episode they'll show you
Yeah, I just usually, because it doesn't start until after the preview for whatever fucking show they're showing. So it's really hard to skip it.
And I noticed in this episode, at the beginning of this episode, they included his talk from season 1 where he tells the story about his
daughter, his
wife dying, and his daughter getting not speaking to him. They included that at the beginning, so it just felt like they were trying to I don't know if it was intentional, but I just felt like it was so many they put it in our head that his daughter was going to be popping up,
Yeah.
But not to take anything away from Owen now.
Well, and that's when he was like, see, you had no idea, and I wanted to be like, listen, I'm not new at this. I think I could have figured this out, but okay.
So then it goes to the Man in Black and Lawrence in Las Mudas, I think, right?
Is that the name of the
little town?
His town? Yeah.
Where how funny is Lawrence too when they're at their railroad track, and the Man in Black is like, "Oh, we got to cut through Las Mudas," and Lawrence is like, "No, we don't want to do that."
That one horse town, we got better places to. Oh, cut that shit, Lawrence. Yeah, that was pretty good. I'm not even mad at you, Lawrence. You do what you need to do. dealing with fucking mad
Right?
right and left. Jesus Christ, what do you need? I'll give it to you, buddy.
Right. It was a good fucking try. So they get in town, and they're at the same goddamn table outside of the same bar from the first season.
With the same flipped out fucking bartender.
Right.
I was like, what is okay? What's happening?
He cannot catch a fucking break, this bartender.
Oh my God. I felt so bad for this guy, and he doesn't catch a fucking break.
Nope. Once again.
Like, right up until the end. That is how it's going to be. It just seems real mean to me.
And they get there, and Craddock and the few men that survived Forlorn Hope are already camped out in this town, which is why our poor barkeep is so stressed out. And
These guys.
Yeah, these fucking guys.
Craddock, this guy always gets cast as a fucking psycho.
He does it so well, though. Look, he's got the crazy eyes.
He does. He's so good at just being like on the outside I'm playing it cool, and on the inside I am coming in my pants right now.
That is not how
I mean?
I thought you were going to finish that sentence.
Like, there's something about the way he does violence where you just really feel that there's like this,
it's simmering,
gross enjoyment that's like goes so deep. And he just knows exactly how to cover it, but you see it like happening in his eyes.
Yep. Like it's just barely beneath the surface. Just barely. So he's got these people rounded up in their little church, and he wants their food, he wants whiskey, and he wants ammunition because they are bound for glory, and they need provisions.
Yep.
And Lawrence's wife and the daughter are there. And he asked us to talk to, like, the town representative.
This is so rude. This fucking guy, I swear to God.
This poor old man, like, he takes a second to stand up, and then he takes his little hat off. And then...
Trying to be respectful.
I mean, right? He thinks he's about to have a conversation with a fucking psycho. There's no conversation to be had. He just shoots him right in the fucking chest. Done.
I'm not here to make a fucking deal. Oh, you don't say. I hadn't sensed that. This guy. Am I right?
So, Lawrence is like on the side, like, this is what we should do. I know where the guns are. We'll get them tonight after they're drunk. But that's not what happens.
That is sure not.
That is not how it goes.
William is just like, you know, I just get the feel he's really impatient right now.
This is like a side quest that he's not interested in. He's got somewhere to fucking be.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to say that. He has somewhere to fucking be. And this one horse town really isn't worth the, you know. Basically what Lawrence was trying to say, he secretly agrees with.
Now he's like, we should have fucking just kept going.
Yep. We didn't need to do this. God damn it. I got roped into this dumb shit. And, so yeah, he's just gonna strike a deal, so to speak. I forget exactly how he even frames it when he talks to Craddock. Because he's like, I know about glory and where you're going. What is it that he says exactly?
He says, well, the first thing he does is he just tells them that the stuff is out back, right?
Right, yeah.
And then Craddock is like, you're not very good at negotiating.
Yes. Which I have to admit I did enjoy.
And then I think that's when he does the whole, he says you don't know where you're going. Right. You think you're going to find a place where, trying to wait for it to come up, but you think you're going to find a place where everything you want is, but you don't know how to get there. But it's almost identical to what Dolores says, actually.
I think that's part of my problem with this, is like, you already had this conversation with somebody who completely betrayed you, and you're going to fall for this shit again? Right?
Yeah, I had the same thought. And I was, part of me, I can't really make it make sense to me why he would fall for this. Craddock, I mean.
Yeah.
Unless we're supposed to think that his core drive to get to glory is so strong that, like, what, he can't resist it?
That's not totally unreasonable. I don't love it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. You know what else, too? There was a fucking line he has, and this is me just talking like crazy, but there's a line he has when Teddy is supposed to kill him, but doesn't. Which, how about that? Like, none of this would be happening if Teddy had just fucking, done the thing. Fucking Teddy. But he says something to Teddy about how being, we both follow tyrants. Like, it's, we both have, almost like, he says, like, we're the same, I wonder if it's just like, he's just built to follow people who promise to get him to this place. Yeah, I don't know. Idea. But also, to be fair, he didn't just agree, to Dolores, when Dolores does the speech. She has to kill him and then bring him back to life.
True.
Right. So that kind of, my theory is kind of shot with that.
She had to kill him and bring him back to life, which means that it would be hard to convince him, which means that him being convinced here is even less.
That's what I mean. Like, that kind of shoots my theory right in the fucking foot. Oh, well.
Get it? Or in the hand.
Oh, my God.
As the case may be.
So then from here, we go back to, it's James Delos. It's the second visit. It's a different song.
Yeah, this scene, so he, like, is dancing around, having a grand old time, and then he, like, stops and looks in the mirror in this way, and I don't know what I'm supposed to think of this. Is it that he is sensing that he is not real? Like, I don't know. But there was something about it that felt a little spooky. A little spoopy. You
know what? He does this thing. You're right. Like, he has a good smile, a happy smile on his face, like a content smile. Then he looks very quizzical at himself. Mm-hmm. But then it kind of goes away.
Yeah. It's like he has a flash of, like, am I really me? Is this all of... And then he's like, nah.
Yeah, I don't... It's very, very brief. And then it just goes into the whole thing that we saw before. And they do the test, and he starts to break down again.
Yeah. Little fucking late. I love that line, like, being mentioned about, like, there is something very creepy, I think, about watching, because there are times where watching the same thing happen over and over again can be frustrating, but in this, watching it happen over and over again with William slowly aging and William's attitude changing just a bit, that makes it very creepy.
Yeah.
And just upsetting in a way, too.
Yeah. It's also because we have to watch him, because we know it's coming this time, right? But we have to watch it. We have to watch him have this moment again. This moment of failure for William. This moment of realization of what's happening and how it's not working the way it's supposed to work for Delos. Yeah, it's creepy, and I thought it was really depressing. Like, it was just really sad.
Yeah.
Even though these are not people who I should really be having a lot of sympathy for. But yeah, I have to admit, it was just kind of something about William's face this time. It doesn't have the hopefulness that the first William does, and it doesn't have the sort of detached, screw the whole project of the Man in Black on the third visit.
Yeah. Yeah, he's in the throes of deep disappointment here.
And we get, in this second visit, you know, is when we get to see him read the script, right? Mm-hmm. Which we don't get in the first time. So we get to see his face as he's processing what's happening right now. Like, what he is, what this means. And then he gets super excited because Delos thinks we did it. Right?
Yeah.
Hooray! Hooray! It is not a hooray.
I want to go out, get some fresh aid.
Oh, man. And how good is this actor, though?
Oh, man. The look that fucking William gives him, too. Like, when he messes up and says that, and he gives him this look like,
Yep. I mean, we talked about watching the actor that does Abernathy, who is amazing. Watching him when he starts to glitch, and, you know, watching Bernard, and now watching him, you wouldn't think you would get such, you know, three different actors kind of experiencing the same, I guess, breakdown of their code or whatever, and watching the three of them perform that. Yeah, it's something.
Yeah, it's really reminiscent of somebody who's had a stroke and can't remember words.
That's what I thought too, yeah.
There's this frustration in his face, but he can't even express the frustration.
Yep.
It's just all in his eyes and in his posture, but he can't even say how angry he is. And that's the part that I always find so upsetting when I watch people who are dealing with that kind of thing. Just like the complete inability to express yourself after being a functioning fucking adult and going back to this.
Yep.
Like, just, it's awful. And the look on William's face as he sees him trying his best, and he knows that yet again we've come to this point, and I understand your frustration. I'm seeing it like for the 50th time, so your frustration is also my frustration.
Yep.
And just the way the whole thing goes down, because he walks out of there and tells the woman to light it up, and I was just like, this just seems excessive.
You know what? Like, they could have just put, like, the host to sleep, right? Did they have to burn the whole fucking living situation?
I did not understand why, like, you say later this is, like, what, the 149th time you brought him back? Why are you going to just buy 149 beds, though?
It's got to be just because it looks cool, right?
It has to be.
Yeah, I think so, too. Because that doesn't make any sense. I know it's a small part and doesn't have anything to do with the plot, but it doesn't make any sense.
The only thing I could think is that any sense of him being left in the room might influence the next one. Like, you know, but you just have people come in and wipe the place down and, like, reposition everything, and it's fine.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
maybe they have him decorate, do you think? And he just decorates the same way every time, and that's like part of the process?
Oh my God.
That would be amazing if, like, when they rebuild him, they'd always start him off, like, in an office that looks like he's at home choosing things on Amazon for the room that he's going to go stay in, because he has no idea that he's already there. And he's, like, prepping for it.
Oh, God. That's so depressing.
Right?
Holy shit.
It's like that shouldn't talking be about bringing your dog to the country.
That should not make me as upset as it does. So, this is when we find out that also that he only made it to day 7. So, the first time he does this interview, we have no idea. But this time it's the 7th day of the build. And that's as good as they did.
Yeah.
All right.
So, we go back to the fucking Craddock scene. This fucking guy. I want to talk about this as little as possible, frankly. He's getting very excited about Nitro. As, of course, he would.
Mm-hmm.
And he decides to play a little game with the bartender who's got shaky hands.
Mm-hmm.
And
now let me ask you a question. This is because I, if I could fast forward, I guess I could fast forward and answer my own question. The game he plays with the barkeep. What does he put in that glass and make him carry?
Nitro.
So then when he drops the glass, why doesn't anything blow up?
Yeah. Thank you. Because that very much occurred to me.
I thought I misunderstood it and that he only put liquor in it. And I'm watching it right now. It's nitro.
Mm-hmm.
But I convinced myself that I just wasn't paying attention.
I'm thinking like it's supposed to be that he shot the glass and that's what blew the guy's hand off.
Okay.
But there's not a bloom of flame when he does that. It's just the hand like exploding.
Okay.
So to my eye, it really looked like he hit his hand.
That's what I thought too, but okay, so he shoots the glass and it just pops, it just blows his whole hand off.
That's what I think it is. Yeah.
Okay. I guess.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, and later, you know, they have him like swallow some, and then Lawrence shoots him, and his head blows up, which is not how that would happen at all. Like, so they're just playing real fast and loose with how the whole thing is
because, going. Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Okay.
I like that moment because there's like, I feel like you're a little protective of this show, and you're like, they wouldn't do that, but then they do. So what are you gonna do?
So the man in black is free at this point, right? Because they have made a deal,
right?
And Lawrence is still tied up, and then we cut to the Ghost Nation with their prisoners, their hostages, and I'll let you tell me what you thought of this.
Yeah, where are you taking us to the first of us? He will decide. Which feels like that has to be Dolores. But because, you know, she's the original. That's like the name of the first episode.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no context given, I guess is the word I want. And there is some dude who's like across the bank of the river watching them all. And
I think he's closer than that.
Is he?
Yeah, because remember he walks right up and whispers in Stubbs' ear.
That's what I was curious about, because it looks like there's a big gulf between them. But maybe it is just closer than... Oh, I didn't even realize that couple where one of them, the husband shot Hector. It's so funny that they're there. I didn't even notice that.
And this is when she makes a break for it. And runs off into the woods. And then this is when... So, oh my God, my computer
You
just
live
froze.
only as long as the last person who remembers you. Which sounds very much like a death sentence, so I can understand Stubbs just being like, and this is when I die. But they go and pull the knife and do not cut him, and he stops and looks around, and they are gone. And I was like, oh, shit. And then we cut to Bernard waking up. And I think this is the scene where she talks about his memories being messed up and, you know, doing the whole cerebral cortex fluid thing. And he tells her, I think this is when he says, I think Ford had me create a like duplicate of somebody, right? I'm going to put out a theory here.
Okay. Woohoo.
Stubbs.
Oh, okay.
And here's why. Because this Stubbs is the one who got taken hostage. But then there's Stubbs that's working with the security team later. And I have my doubts as to whether or not Stubbs, who got taken hostage, is allowed to work with the security team later in the way that he had. And I also feel like there's something about how don't know. I just feel like there's something up with Stubbsy. Old Stubbsy.
Something's up with old Stubbsy. Okay, we'll keep our eye on it.
It's going to be the name of my next novel. Something's up with old Stubbsy. A Mystery by Natasha Winters. I'll call it a Stubbsy Mystery by Natasha Winters. It'll be a series of Stubbsy mysteries.
See what old Stubby's getting up to this time.
What's old Stubbsy getting up to? What kind of larks?
So Elsie also says that she sees this weird code, and Bernard has to tell her that he's seen it before. Mm-hmm. It's in Peter Abernathy's brain, and then that's when he says the thing about having been here before. Mm-hmm. But he doesn't know for sure because, his memories
because he doesn't know anything for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Because he is useless. Thanks for nothing.
For somebody that's doing so much this season, Bernard doesn't have a lot of answers, does he?
Yeah. What have you got to offer? Not a fucking thing. Not a thing.
And when she's explaining to him about how his memories are practically just floating around completely unmoored, he has the flashback or whatever it is.
Which he does not tell her about. Even though she's like, no more secrets, right? Mm-hmm. And he's like, sure.
Well, he kind of tells her because what he sees in the flashback here is that he's initiating a new build.
RoShawn.
What?
He kind of tells her that he came in and ordered a bunch of drones to slaughter.
No. That's not the memory I was talking about. No. I'm sorry. No.
Oh, okay.
No, that flash at that moment was just him at a terminal. And he's at the terminal, and the terminal says initiating a new build.
Okay.
And then they start talking about the language of the code and all that stuff.
Okay.
No. I mean, I love the show, but I'm not going to make those kind of excuses.
I was just sitting there like, whoa, are we just taking leave completely of morality now? Is that what we're doing?
No, and then... Oh, no, that's not really a lie. He murdered a whole room full of people. It's no big deal.
Maybe he's built a backup of himself.
What? You think he made a backup, Bernard?
Yeah, that'd be pretty good, actually. Right?
I mean, it would be very useful.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Because then he could be in two places, which would make his memories, like, all wacky. If they're kind of connected to the same thing. Mm-hmm. And he says the code that's in his head that she found is also the code that he found in Abernathy. So maybe he created a backup to test out how smuggling data would work and if it would fuck things up.
You mean like fuck up how the host works?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he knows it fucks up how the host work because he knows
now
what happened to Abernathy.
But like maybe when he was asked to make the control one that he says.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yet. Like maybe it was a test.
Gotcha.
Model.
Gotcha. So like a Bernard .20?
That's 2.0, sweetie.
Oh my God, why do I even try?
Are you folks on the book face? My daughter's on there. Do you know her? She has a lot of friends.
So this is when the terrible thing happens.
Right.
Right. So Elsie goes to the door. He really tries to tell her not to go in there. She does not listen.
This bitch, listen.
And then he has that moment where he realizes he's not with her right now. I'm not here with you, am I? Which is a weird thing to say.
Oh my God, it's so weird. The whole thing is so strange. Like, I really like how this show does this, messing with memory and stuff, like, I think it's a really smart storytelling device.
Yeah.
As evidenced by such classics as Memento and Following. If you haven't seen Following, but you liked Memento, I suggest going and watching Following.
I have not seen Following.
You should check it out. It's real good. It's the same director, but before Memento.
Oh, you know what? Is that the black and white John?
Mm-hmm.
I have seen that. I saw that many, many years ago, and it is very good. You're right.
Super good.
I forgot all about that movie, but you're right. That's an excellent movie.
I like it better than Memento.
Yeah, me too. I mean, you can't tell because I forgot about it. But yeah, no, we went and got it after we saw Memento because we were so impressed. And when we found out he had another movie, we went right out and got it. So Bernard is having this thing in the hallway. Elsie is still in the frame, but it's clear to us that it is two different things happening, right? Which is a weird. It's weird to see and actually understand that's what's happening because it shouldn't make sense.
Yeah,
but somehow it does. And I think
the show has trained us.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Accept messed up shit.
I think you're right. That's exactly what it is. The show has primed us for these kind of moments. And then this is the memory that's you thought I was trying to downplay.
Yes. And it basically cuts away like right after, because we don't actually see the attack in that memory. Like we see him realizing that he's not with her,
and that he's in the room, and that he has like kind of confronted one of the techs.
But then it cuts away.
Yeah, and then it goes back to fucking Craddock.
Yeah, who is adorably theorizing that the reason William's upset is because he doesn't like seeing death. Which is just precious.
It is precious, right?
You sweet little...
And he gives this fucking long-ass speech about how basically he's friends with death now because he died and came back and death watches over him. And he just goes on and on for quite a bit.
This is like some guy who's like, well, I've fucked some women, so I pretty much understand the female experience. Like, you know what, dude? You don't even know what happened to you. You got killed and then brought back by a tech with there's nothing special about you. There were 30 other people in the room who also had this happen. What are you trying to do here?
Yeah.
But, whatever. He's nuts.
Yeah, he's nuts and clearly, not able to even really comprehend what he is, right? He doesn't know he's a host. No idea. And then this really, this fucking scene. You know what I don't like? I don't like when people call women mamacita when they're not actually,
Yeah.
Spanish speaking or Latino. I don't like that.
There's a lot of weirdness surrounding, like, Spanish pet names that I don't enjoy that have been used on me.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever heard anyone say mamacita and not follow it with something super gross.
Yeah, like the only person that ever did that was my dad. And so I was predisposed as a kid to like find it cute because he did. And then it got sullied by gross dudes. And then when my dad would say it, I was just like, no.
It got sullied is the perfect way to explain it, because I understand that it's a term of endearment, but because I am not, Spanish speaking, I've never had anybody use it in its true, sense. I've only ever heard gross dudes calling women, almost regardless of what their background was.
Oh, yeah.
Mamacita.
Yep.
And I just don't like it. So, you know what? Excellent job, writers. Because I think they know how off-putting that is.
Yes.
So good on them for having him say
it. And I also feel bad because, like, his wife, poor actress always has to play that she's on the verge of fucking a total nervous breakdown because guys are trying to kill her husband or her child. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that must get tiring to just play this same close to tears role at all times. But I guess that's just the nature of Lawrence's character, is that he's always in trouble.
Yeah. What does he say earlier in the episode about how he, or maybe even later, when he says that it was a fluke that he got a wife and a daughter because he was a terrible person?
Yes.
And the best thing he ever did for them was to go away. And it seems like that's correct, because whenever he shows up, he just brings this nonsense with him. He just brings trouble whenever he shows up in town.
Because he asks William, would your daughter like to see you gunned down in front of her? And there's a pause, and then William just goes,
probably.
I lolled at that when I watched it the first time. I thought that was, like, his delivery is just so good. It's not even like he's joking. He's being dead serious and really thought about the question. Like, it's just so good.
So
he decides to call an end to this fucking nonsense.
Yeah, he's wasted more than enough time here with these fucking amateurs.
He's so irritated. It's so great.
So he kills Craddock. Well, he doesn't kill him yet. He just, like, fucking stabs him in the neck with a fucking broken bottle.
Oh,
But before that happens, though, while they're at the table, before he does it, he has this memory. He's like looking at the rain. He's watching Lawrence's wife, and then it flashes to him running up the stairs to a tub that's overflowing with water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was I guess it's the talk of all the death, and like. You know, I'm friends with death. And he's like, oh, yeah, really?
Yeah. And seeing a wife and a daughter, you know, obviously makes him think of his own.
And probably thinking about what Lawrence said to him about how it would have been better if I just, like, left forever. Mm-hmm. It was good for them. And he's probably wondering, like, yeah, you know what? It probably would have been for me, too. And I could have fixed that. Mm-hmm. So
wait,
maybe I'll try and fix this.
What do you mean I could have fixed that?
Well, not I could have fixed that. More like if I had done that, maybe my wife would still be alive.
Oh, I see.
But I stuck around and played this fucking role.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah. Now, even though Craddock's speech we kind of like laughed at, I really like the Man in Black's when he starts to tell him about death.
Oh, right.
I really thought this was excellent writing. And I like that line that death is always true.
Except that, like, they come back, these guys. So is that accurate?
Well, these guys don't know death because they're not living, I think is what the Man in Black is trying to say here.
I got you.
Like, real death doesn't miss, you know? Mm-hmm. When you're dead, basically he's saying when you're dead, you're dead.
When you're dead, you dead. All right.
What is that line? What is from The Wire? Oh, my God.
I don't remember.
Can't remember. All right. Well, so then there's like a big, you know, shoot 'em up scene.
Yep.
And he's very competent. We already knew that about him. He pretty much takes everybody out.
Yeah, it's a very, like, John Wicky kind of moment because he's doing a lot of headshots. What?
I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen John Wick?
Mm-mm.
Girl, you need to get on that shit. That movie is so much fun.
That's what I hear.
It's so much fun.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing that I would totally watch if I caught it on cable or something, but I just never see it playing. Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know if it's on cable. Maybe it's on Netflix. I don't know. So then this is the thing where he makes fucking Craddock drink the nitro and then gives Lawrence satisfaction of shooting him and he explodes.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's very effective.
It doesn't, like, the explosion is stupid, but Lawrence shooting him, and, like, him handing him the gun, that moment, I really enjoyed.
Yeah. And I like to, right when he, before the Man in Black makes him drink the nitro, he says, or right after, he says, don't worry, I'm here. standing over you.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Watching you is what he says. You know, because he's deaf, in case we didn't get it.
Yeah. You didn't recognize him sitting right across from you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is pretty good.
Agreed. So then we get the scene with him and Delos again as the man in black that we now know. And the fact that he has aged is the thing that tells him... What?
Oh, nothing. I'm sorry.
What?
I got overly excited.
About what?
Nothing. It didn't happen yet. I thought we skipped something, but it hasn't happened yet. Oh, I do like that shot, though, when he puts his head down and the water kind of comes off of his hat.
Oh, yeah.
And the rain. That was it was a nice shot. Okay, sorry, but you're right. So it's the man in black and James Delos for their last scene.
Right. And the fact that he has aged so much is the thing that ticks him off immediately. That this is all a simulation, that he did not make it.
Right. We don't even have that, preamble like we had last time.
Yeah.
We just cut right to the chase. And, yeah, it's, this one is particularly disturbing.
Yeah, it is.
Because it's not just when he starts to get really agitated, it's not just him, having a loss for words, but he's enraged. Delos is, But he's completely impotent. He can't even really move. He's just and the man in black tells him that everybody is dead. Your daughter killed herself.
Yeah.
He starts screaming for Logan. Logan overdosed years ago.
Which seems really mean. Not of the show exactly, but God, this guy lost fucking everything, really. It kind of does make you go, do I want to live forever?
Well, that's the thing, though, right?
Yeah.
Why would you want to live forever unless everybody you love is also living forever? Mm-hmm. Which even saying that out loud sounds awful. I feel like that would turn awful eventually, too, right? Yeah. I don't know if we're capable of loving anyone forever. If we all lived forever...
We would eventually just hate everybody?
Wouldn't you eventually, not... Would you be in love with your spouse forever?
I don't know. Yeah. But maybe it doesn't matter because you have so many chances to love other people and they probably wouldn't love your... but you'd have chances to experience other types of love with somebody else.
Well, that's what I mean, though, but
maybe they'd be fine.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there would be sort of... I feel like we would have trouble admitting that, that it's time to, be with someone else.
I mean, that's just life, though.
That's what I mean. Imagining that lasting forever, though.
I feel like you'd get better at it.
Oh, I don't know. I have very low opinion of humanity.
Just think about how much you've learned in the past, 5 years as compared to the last 10 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I also think about how little other people have learned in the same period of time.
Yeah, but you don't need to worry about them.
But we're
Just
all
worry about you.
But we're all living forever, so those people are going to be around forever too.
Yeah, but they're fucking up, and you can just go and live in your little cabin somewhere.
I love how since we're living together, I have access to a cabin.
Yeah, whatever. It's fine.
So we talked about this kind of already, though, at the beginning.
Yeah. So he just, loses it, and at this point, William's kind of lost interest, and he leaves, and they ask him if he wants them to shut it down, and he says, no, maybe it would be good for us to observe the degradation.
That feels like it means two things. I understand from, the tech point of view that he just means watching how this all, fails. Maybe we can learn something from it. But the way the line is delivered feels like something so much more personal.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
No, I really would like to
witness
his degradation.
You know,
cool with you, yeah.
Like
I get you.
I might be reading too much into that, but that's what it felt like.
I mean, that's basically William's whole attitude towards the rest of the park, so I guess it's not out of the question.
Also, William is so cold in this. I have Man in Black. He is so cold as he's delivering this information, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's not moved at all like he had been in the first 2 times.
Yeah.
He's just, I mean, I guess, though, it's 149 times. He can't be moved by this anymore.
Yeah, he's bored.
Yeah.
Like, I really think that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, bored and dare I say, maybe a little disgusted. Not just with what he's watching, but with what he started, what he did, you know? Yeah. And he takes a drink, which he didn't do in the other 2 times.
Oh, that's right. I didn't even notice that. Yeah. And yeah, after he leaves, this is when he starts to really lose it. This is the first time we ever... I don't understand. He was stable, this poor kid. I wonder how he winds up getting in there and getting killed. Like, what even happens? Does he try and, like, calm him down? Go in there?
That's a good question. Like, you know, it doesn't seem like they're supposed to go in and well, we know they interact with him because Delos has a line about how they come and poke and prod him all the time. Right. So maybe it was one of that kind of deal.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, and what's the thing that he says to him about you're enjoying running my company and living in my house
and fucking my daughter, and that's when he's like, your daughter's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah,
this scene is fucking brutal, actually.
It is brutal, yeah. It really is. And this is when they come across him, Elsie and Bernard.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, it took me an ungodly amount of time to realize that's where they were. Considering that we had just seen, like, the outside view of this compartment.
Is that right?
It was, like, Owen is going, oh my God, I didn't even put this together. And I'm sitting there going, I have still not put it together. What are you talking about? And then I was like, oh my God. Right. But, yeah, it's real spooky.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it at all. I don't like the skipping. You put a skipping record in any scene, and it's like 1,000% creepier already.
Agreed.
The red emergency light shining on everything also is...
Yeah. The thing about the skipping record that's so creepy is that it tells you that someone is no longer in a position to stop that skipping.
Yeah.
That they had been there and there had been a record playing and now they are not able to stop it. So they have either been murdered or in this case they just have gone crazy.
This is how we live now. And yeah, it just turns into this like horror movie scene of him slicing his fucking face up and menacing them. And I'm all the way down now. I can see all the way to the bottom.
Yeah. This little bit of dialogue is, it feels like it's something that we know, right? Like, I went and looked it up because I was like, are they doing the thing where they're having like a host just repeat some information? Mm-hmm. But it's not. It's not any one thing. It's written, you know. It's not like pulled from any play or anything like that. But it feels like he's quoting something. It just feels really familiar, but it's completely original. But yeah, it feels like something that I saw like in a horror movie years ago or, you know, something.
So then comes the fight scene between him and Elsie, and Bernard like stops him. They said there were 2 fathers, one above and one below, but there's only ever been the one below. And it's the one above is just a reflection of him laughing back at himself. And I was like, well, that's cool. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it.
I mean, I guess it could be talking about the whole, everything this show was trying to talk about, right? Like, who gets to be God, and is there one, and maybe there's not, but it's a lot. It's a lot of stuff I don't want to think about.
You know? Same.
And Bernard kind of fucks him up, though.
Yeah, he does.
Gives like a chop to the neck.
I kind of love, like, there's almost a, like, oh, shut the fuck up kind of thing. But yeah, then they leave and burn the place up, and he gets to look like a fucking madman sitting in the middle of flames with his face all cut up. And Elsie's like, please tell me that was a host and not a human. And he's like, yeah, that was both, I'm pretty sure. And they start to put together what was going on here. Yeah. And the fact that they were not successful, but apparently are going to try again and again.
Elsie is not having it.
She is not happy about this.
No,
just so some asshole can live forever, which I'm like, no, girl. So that they can monetize living forever. Are you crazy? Of course it's not just about him. But whatever, it's fine. She can remain as angry as she is. It's no big deal. And then we get that flash of a moment when Bernard grabbed that little red ball, which I feel like is something.
Any idea what you think it is? Like, what kind of something?
Is it Ford's brain? Is it all of Ford's thoughts and brains? That
would be also handy. So we could have two Bernards and a Ford brain in his pocket.
Is Ford wandering around somewhere out there? Oh my God.
Wait, what'd you say?
I was just thinking about Ford, like if there was a copy, like a, host version of him. But I don't think that can be it, because this idea of putting an actual human's brain into a host wouldn't be so wild to Bernard if that's what he had done in the first place. It's got to be another host that he made a backup of.
And, I like that. Two things. You said two things really good. First, it doesn't seem like putting the consciousness of a person into a host is working yet.
Right.
But you said you think that Bernard made a backup of another host.
Yeah. I think that's probably, because I was theorizing that it was Stubbs, because I just like the idea of there being, two Stubbses for weird subterfuge purposes. But it can't be. It has to be another host. So what? Did he make another Dolores? Is she wandering around as another, I don't know.
As two Doloreses in the park?
Yeah. And one of them is the first one of us that's with the Ghost Nation.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, okay? Listen. But yeah, this is when we actually get the proper flashback of when he whispers to the drone, kill all of them and then kill yourselves. Apparently.
Yeah.
Which...
Who knew he could even do that?
This just seems really, rude to have him be the one go in and give this order. I'm sure you could just program the drones to do this. You don't need Bernard to, go in there.
So you think Ford sent him in to do that?
I don't know. Stop asking me shit.
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to keep your things straight in my own head.
There's something about the detachment with which he does this that makes it feel like this isn't Bernard. This is drone Bernard.
Right. I think that's fair from what we've seen in the flashbacks anyway. Has he had any emotion on his face in any of these flashbacks?
Barely. This moment where the guy's help me, and he fucking crushes his skull in with his boot.
That was not a Bernard I care for.
No. That's Wyatt right there,
Wyatt Bernard.
Oh, God, there's a backup fucking Wyatt walking around. Why do we need more than one of that asshole, really?
So this is when Elsie is don't lie to me.
No more secrets.
And he's keeping a big-ass secret right in that moment.
Yeah, he is. Fucking lying scum. I'm mad at him.
You just called Bernard scum.
Yes, I did. I called him lying scum.
I mean, you're not wrong.
All right, so then we go back to the little village. The man in black gets a kiss on the cheek from Lawrence's wife. Lawrence is like, hey, practically everybody will sign up to work with you, so, that's cool. And then the daughter is like, just so you're aware, I have not forgotten and forgiven the way everyone else apparently has.
Right. One good
know
deed.
What you did.
Right. One good deed doesn't change anything.
Yep.
He's like, what good deed?
Yeah, he tries to be like, well, I'm just playing this game to the bone. And I'm like, nah, you're saying that, but you were trying to right some wrongs right there.
So what do you think about this? This is what, the third time Ford has talked to the man in black? We had the little boy at the beginning of the season.
Right.
And then Gus Fring.
Right.
And now this little girl.
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts about what is happening with that?
I don't.
Okay, fair enough. Sometimes you just don't. I know.
The end. Thanks for coming. See you next week. But yeah, he looks back at like all three of them like hugging and having this moment, and it's definitely like he has some feelings right there. Some feelings that he's not comfortable with having.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get all out on the open prairie again, riding, and sun's in their eyes. Somebody's coming at them all mysterious, like with a silhouette.
Right. The
And
sun
then,
behind their back.
Yeah. And then she rolls into view and says, "Hi, Dad." And you're like,
dun, dun, dun.
Yep. There it is. I was glad, though, that this wasn't drawn out. Like, I theorized who she was last episode, and we find out this episode, so that's fine. Yeah, and the way that she looks at him is just real...
Right.
So good.
She's
just like, you motherfucker.
Did you notice in the red room when Elsie and Bernard go in, she's in a picture frame that's cracked on the floor?
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Which is weird because unless it's supposed to be his daughter, but I'm almost positive it's her. It's the same woman. Is it? Not the mom. It's not William's wife. It's the daughter in that frame, right? I'm
going back and looking. Yeah, it's the daughter at looks like 11 or 10 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, there was a lot of that foreshadowing of who she was supposed to be in this episode.
Yeah. And it looks like a picture of the actual actress at that age. Like they really.
That's a nice
it was
touch.
The same person, I think, because she looks the same.
That's a really nice touch.
But I could be wrong, but I think it does look like her. Man, this body of this poor kid that was just probably interning at this fucking company. I feel bad for him.
You talking about the tech?
Yeah. Just, and there's nobody else there. He was on assignment all alone down there when everything went haywire, and so nobody came for the next shift, and I just feel bad about the circumstances. Who are you talking about? The tech that was working outside the Delos.
Oh, that kid. Okay, I'm sorry. I was thinking about the ones that Bernard got with the drones.
Oh, no.
That's why I was like, no, there was a couple of those guys. What are you talking about all alone?
Yeah, no, this kid, it feels like, he's meant to just observe by himself until the next person comes to take over the shift. Because there's not much of a change usually, and it's all manageable by one person.
Right.
But something went badly wrong, and nobody was ever going to find them.
You know what? Because it's all fucking super secret. There's probably 3 people who even know that room is down there.
It's like in Jaws with the our mission was so secret that no distress signal had been sent, but we delivered the bomb. You know?
I do.
You know what I'm talking about? Farewell,
and that's it, though, right?
To you fair Spanish ladies. Farewell, and adieu, you ladies of Spain. It's such a good movie. Owen and I went to see it at Alamo Drafthouse like a month ago. They were playing it on the big screen, and they gave everybody foam shark fins to wear on their head. And they handed out little poppers that you pulled the string and it exploded for all of us to pull when he shoots it in the canister.
Oh, fun.
And it was really fun. Anyway, this is not Jaws Cast. It should be. I should definitely start Jaws Cast. But yeah, that's the end of the episode. Is them, coming up against his daughter, and surprise, except not.
Yeah.
But that's fine. It's no big deal. Did you have an inkling? Did you figure out who she was?
The daughter? Yeah.
Yeah, you did. Okay.
Yeah.
So I feel like they must have meant for people to kind of try and piece that together. Mm-hmm. I feel like the show has to give you a couple wins to make you feel like you're really achieving something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I considering that they know how to play it close to the vest when it's important. The fact that they, gave so many hints about this, I feel like we were supposed to try to keep up.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Well, everybody, you know where to find us. Facebook.com/unspoiledpod, Twitter @unspoiledshow, Instagram @unspoiledpodcast. You can commission episodes on the new Spoil Me feed by going to unspoiledpodcast.com/shop. And you can join the group to organize commissioned episodes with other people who might be interested in commissioning parts of the same series at facebook.com/group/spoilmepod. Make sure to check out the Spoil Me feed on iTunes, which is live now. It has just been going really well. It's been very busy, and I didn't expect it to be as successful as it is, but I have been kept very busy by it, and I'm excited because everything that everybody has chosen has been really good so far. So I encourage anybody who's interested to check that out, and I'm also going to be posting soon on all of the social media outlets a list of horror movies that a lot of people agree are great that I have not yet seen, so that if you are interested in commissioning a movie for me to watch and review, you can do that. Because there's a lot of horror that I am afraid to watch, but I'm still kind of interested in, like the Witch. Have you seen The Witch?
No.
It's the font for the word witch. It's written as two capital letter V's next to each other for the W.
Oh.
So that's how Owen and I say it to each other. Do you want to watch The Witch? And I know it's supposed to be a really good horror movie, but I have not had the balls to watch it because I am a pussy. And I know that is gendered insulting language, and I apologize. But I just, that's how I am. I'll often watch a really good scary movie and be glad that I watched it afterwards. But I have to be dragged kicking and screaming to see it. Mm-hmm. It's not something that I go to. I have to be made to go watch it. So do me a favor and pay me to watch it. How about that? So unspoiledpodcast.com/shop for that. I think that's it.
Okay.
Guys, it's really late.
It's so late. I gotta go to bed.
I'm sorry.
It's midnight.
But thank you all so much for listening. Make sure to leave a review on iTunes if you've been enjoying the show. We haven't gotten new reviews since we started. So, give us some love, guys. We're on episode 4 here. It's time. Get on that. Get off your asses. Toodaloo, motherfuckers.
Bye, guys.
Unspoiled Network podcast.